as promised, relatively short lecture this week. Hopefully they'll give you a little time back to try to finish up your projects, which of course is the big thing that is due. So we've talked about the project a lot, but just to recap this one more time, what are we looking for in all of these pieces? You'll turn in at least 3 different documents to me, which would be a Word doc, a PowerPoint, and the postmortem, or sorry, and the demonstration. The business justification should be beautiful, polished, what you would give to your boss to say, hey, you should have me do this project, not just bullet points, not just business rules. The drafts I got were of varied stages, so just want to make sure that that's clear. I showed the demo in class, or I showed an example of what I did. So you can see it was like paragraphs and put together. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, so sell me why this database will add value to the company. The ER diagram can be embedded inside of the Word doc like I did. You can add it in as a separate file. You can take a picture of a hand-drawn one like we did in assignments. If you want to make it nicer looking, you can do like what I did, or some of you have been using drawing tools and stuff to do that. All that is great. Make sure that you have at least 6 tables. I have not seen milestones from everybody, so just make sure that that you have enough there. Your schema. So like I said with when I took the class, when Dr. Breeze told us that if your primary keys are super duper obviously named, so that would mean that you're not just using ID for everything. They're like PID, VID, JID. If you're using naming conventions like that, then you don't have to draw the arrows. If you're doing it in like Word or something, just to keep it neater. If you want to draw the arrows just to prove to me that you know what you're doing, that is awesome. Especially for those of you who are having more complex, weird things like the supertypes and subtypes. And yeah, you can, probably the easiest way to do it is like I like using the tables in Word to do those. So you might be more comfortable in Excel and just like pasting it over. However you want to do that. You can even hand draw them and embed that in as well. Whatever floats your boat for that. So the user interface, want to make sure that you have at least 3 forms and 3 reports. Can you have more? Yes. Will you get extra credit for having more? No. But if things don't work as planned or they're not as polished as I'd like them to, then more will kind of help make up for that. If you only have like a minimum of 3 and they're not polished, that's going to make it hard for me to give you a good grade on that. So focus on making forms that meet your business needs, then make them polished. And if you need more forms to make your database work, yeah, go ahead and add those in, because you're going to have to do data entry anyways, right? And I'm still getting questions about data entry. Do you have to do it in forms? Can you upload them other ways? You can upload them other ways, but you might as well do it in forms unless you have a lot of data. So just depends on what you have going on there. Just do what makes sense for you. Okay, and then your database itself should have all of the relationships correct, everything is enforced if it's supposed to be enforced. It should be polished. Think about things like the way you're naming your tables and your queries and your forms and your reports. Have consistency in your naming conventions. Yeah. Don't have extra things in there that aren't needed. Like don't have forms in there that are completely like if you have a form in there that like was a draft, like delete it kind of thing. Like don't like clean it up, make it a final polished project. And I'm still getting questions about the data, the amount of data that you need for each table. If depending on the way that you're structuring your reports and forms, you might only need like a dozen rows for a table, for your main table. Like if we're thinking about it in terms of the homework assignment one, then you might only need a dozen faculty and students in there to show that these things work. Just depends on how you're parsing out your data. Okay, and then for the postpartum, make sure that you include it in the Word document and in the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will be a briefer thing than the actual Word doc. Okay, so what is inside of the PowerPoint? You should be talking through the business justification, using the ER diagram as this is what's going on inside of my database, and then go into the technical demonstration. Show off anything that was particularly like you learned something big, or you did something like that was uber cool. If there's anything that you're doing with macros, or seems like extra fancy, especially for the Libre folks. A lot of you didn't get the switchboard to work in a way that it would run on my computer, but it was running on yours. So if there's anything like that came up in the forums or will come up in the reports when I give those feedback, make sure that you're demonstrating those. And so I see that they're functioning, even if they don't function properly on mine. Okay. And those tend to be the cooler things anyways. So yeah, demonstrate the cool things. Yeah. Do you have to show off all reports and all forms? No. Yeah, just highlight what was like extra cool, pretty much. Yeah, and then the postmortem should be, like I said, pretty brief in the PowerPoint itself, or in the in the PowerPoint in the demonstration. Okay. Sure, the question in your head is, how long should the demonstration be? It should be as long as you need in order to communicate the message. Yeah. I think usually in class these are 10 to 15 minutes long, so that's probably good. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to reserve the right that if I have questions about your presentation, that I'll email them to you within the few days after the projects are turned in and I'm looking through them. So watch for any last emails from me after you turn in the project. But hopefully everything should be working and nothing weird happens. I've lost my faith in technology. As a note for Mac users, I don't have a Mac. So MP4s are what work well. And so, yeah, so that would be the first email that if you get a 911 email from me going like, I can't open the thing. Yeah, just watch for that. Make sure that I can open up your stuff. Okay, cool. So hopefully we've talked about the project a lot. So hopefully you're in a space where you're comfortable with that. What else is due? Okay, so less exciting things than the project itself. Also, by Thursday midnight, if you have any late assignments or revision, like if I specifically told you, hey, if you have any revisions for your reports or whatever, that's your last chance to turn anything in late. Because I need to grade the things and turn in the things. There's a extra credit discussion post. If you reply to the last thing in there, or you do the last one for the section 7, that's due by Friday the 19th by midnight. So Friday going into Saturday. So Friday 11:59. And then class evaluations, when you do those in Banner or Canvas, whatever they do now, just take a screenshot of that on your computer and then email me that by midnight on Monday. Again, that's Monday going into Tuesday. And I'll include that as part of your class participation grade. All right, so that is the stuff that's due the last week. Again, there's no class meeting on the 18th. So this one coming up on the 11th is our last class meeting. Okay, I will see you then.